Hi, this is Foodie Hansel, and this week I'm going to be showing you how to make a lemon meringue pie. For this recipe you're going to need a quantity of shortcrust pastry. You're going to need 200 grams of plain flour, you're going to need a pinch of salt, 50 grams of lard and 50 grams of margarine. You'll also need approximately in between 2 tablespoons and 4 tablespoons of cold water. If you wanted to make it a sweet pastry, you could add a tablespoon of caster sugar or granulated sugar to your water before adding it to your pastry. For your filling, you're going to need 2 eggs, 150 ml of cold water, 1 lemon and 25 grams of corn flour. Preheat your oven to 200 degrees centigrade. I'm using a fan oven. To start off with, wipe down your surfaces with a warm soapy cloth, then spray down with the disinfectant. Place your 200 grams of plain flour into a sieve in order to get any lumps out. Any lumps which you know are flour can be squashed down with the back of your spoon. A pinch of salt to give flavour. Add 50 grams of your lard or Trex, depending on whether you're making it for a vegetarian, and cover over your fat, which is your margarine and your lard, over with your flour before you start. Then, using your fingertip method, you're just using your fingertips to do the rubbing in method until it looks like breadcrumbs. As I said before, if you wanted to make your pastry a sweeter pastry, you could add a tablespoon of either caster sugar, granulated sugar, icing sugar, doesn't really matter, and make sure it's dissolved in your cold water before adding it slowly, 1 tablespoon at a time, to your pastry until you reach a dough. So add the first tablespoon of cold water, which is slightly sweetened with my sugar, and give your mixture a stir with a knife. This is in order to bind it together. You can tip your bowl slightly if you want to. This will help join it together. Again, tip it. And you can see it's starting to bind together. 3rd tablespoon. And it probably doesn't need number 4, but I am going to add half. I don't want it to be too dry. Place your dough into either some cling film to allow the gluten in the pastry to relax. And then you're going to place it into the fridge. While your pastry is relaxing, you can be making your filling. So, you are going to be using 25 grams of corn flour, 150 ml of cold water, and also the juice of 1 lemon. Slice your lemon in half, and you can either squeeze it into the pan like this by taking all of the juice out, or if you've got a juicer, you can be putting it over the top, squashing and squeezing, which catches any pips, and adding the remainder to the pan. So that's the juice of 1 lemon, 25 grams of corn flour and 150 mils of water. Right, so turn your pan on high flame, and then using a whisk you're going to stir your lemon juice, your water and your corn flour together until it causes the mixture to gelatinize and go thick. And you can see the mixture starting to thicken. I think there might be a stray pick in there where I squeezed it rather than using the lemon juicer. So we do this until it comes to the boil. I'll just take that little pip out. So once your mixture is thick and bubbling, you can turn it off because you don't want it to burn. So allow it to cool where it's not been previously heated. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be separating our eggs. Okay, so to separate your eggs, I've got 2 eggs. You want your egg white in this bowl because this is the one that you're going to be doing your whisking in. If any yolk goes in there whatsoever, just start again. Make sure you start with a clean bowl though. So I'm using the shell. And keep going until it finally wants to separate. There we go, that's the first one. So the eggshell is going in there. And the second one, again, if the second one splits, just start again. It might seem a waste. You'll spend more time trying to get your meringue to whisk correctly if you've got too much, if you've got any protein in there from the yolk. So egg yolks in there, save that for later, and this is perfect. If you've got any shell in, don't forget to take it out with a spoon before you start. Add 1 tablespoon of sugar to your lemon filling and give it a stir. Also, add in your egg yolks now the mixture has cooled down slightly. Notice your mixture has now gone really yellow. what we're looking for is soft peaks before adding some of your remaining 50 grams of caster sugar. So add one at a time, sprinkle over the top and give it another whisk. We'll add the remaining sugar, sprinkle. And again, you should be able to form peaks. So the next stage is I've got the pastry out of the fridge and I'm ready to roll. So flour your surfaces before you start. Put your pastry onto your surface. I would recommend flouring the top of your surface before you start. And you are rolling out your dough to approximately a pound coin thickness. If your pastry starts sticking to your rolling pin, again add some flour to the top of your dough. So flour your dough, pastry till it's a pound coin thickness. Today I'm going to be using a 20 centimetre tin. You could use a loose bottomed flan tin if you've got one. If you've not, then you could just use your 20 centimetres cake tin like I'm using today. So keep checking in by placing it on and making sure that it not only covers the base, but it also covers the sides as well. I'm just going to go a little bit bigger. Checking again, yes, perfect. So what I need to do now is going to do Turkish rug roll. So place your rolling pin onto your pastry. And obviously you floured your pastry first because you don't want it sticking to itself as you're rolling up. Okay, just checking underneath that there's no holes as it tears away from my surface. Then place your cake tin in front of your rolling pin, and then you're going to roll back over your tin and then drape your dough like a piece of fabric into your tin using the back of your finger. Do this very gently because you don't want to tear it. And then using a sharp knife, go around the outside edge of your tin, because what you need to know is that it may try to shrink back, the gluten may try to shrink back into a tin. So by making it slightly bigger, helping that situation. So piece of greaseproof over the top. We're going to do blind baking now. Piece of greaseproof over the top. If you've got some baking beans, you can pour them in to weight it down. If you've not got baking beans, some dried rice just over the top, just weight it down. Let's get out the pastry out of the oven. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tip the baking beans into your container. Reduce your oven temperature now to 150 degrees centigrade. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to be making our first layer. So you can see that the lemon filling has gone very jelly-like. So we're going to pour that into our pastry. Just make sure that it's covered totally. You can always use a knife or a spatula to flatten it slightly and to smooth it over. Now I'm going to be adding the meringue. So using the back of a fork, just lift it slightly because it's quite sticky, and this will help to produce a bit of caramelisation going on. So in order to turn the peaks slightly browner. I'm going to place that in my oven for approximately about 10 to 15 minutes. For 10 to 15 minutes at 150 degrees centigrade. I'm placing it on the centre shelf so that I can keep an eye on it. Okay, so it's time to take out of the oven. It's been 15 minutes. Should be slightly golden brown and should be also set, which it is. I'm going to put that there.